Nirasamsat purnad ahamiti pura bhasayati yat dushakha masaste tadanucha vibhanktum nijakalam swarupad unmesha prasarana nimesha sthiti jushas tadat dvaitam vande paramashiva shaktyatmanihilam. Namaskara. Rishi Varyaha, namaskaromi. What a great honor to be here among you. My life's most amazing, titillating, thrilling moments and insightful moments have come in Bharatavarsha. Although Nepal and India might have politically separated territory, it has never been a culturally separated territory. एक ही संस्कृति है, एक ही धर्म है. And that is founded by the rishis that we mentioned Yajnavalkya so lovingly today, and Janakapura, the land where Janaka reigned. And that ethos, it gives me pleasure that you have kept it alive. When I heard the questions of where are the rishis, the only thing that came to my mind is just go and buy one mirror. You will find the rishi there. Why have we stopped seeing rishis in us? Is because this colonization of the mind has made us think that rishis are historical artifacts. For someone to be rishi, he has to be very ancient. That comes from the prophetic type of idealization that the truth is temporal. Meaning the truth reveals itself, or maybe the truth is encountered by one individual in one particular geographic plane, in particular time, and that the truth does not have the rita, the dynamism, the consistency, the eternity to unfold itself in boundless forms. It comes from the misconception that the truth is outside of us, that the truth is to be found, not to be discovered. This comes from the delusion that we need to be guided by some external means, and otherwise we are bereft of the light. It comes from not recognizing the light that we are. How can you be Bharata and reject your Bha, the light that is given to you in birth? This light is the light of consciousness. Samvit swayam prakasha avedyatte sati aparukshatvad vyatireke ghatavad. Consciousness reveals itself. It does not depend on any external means. Otherwise, you would be like a pot. Therefore, Abhinavagupta says, Upaya jalam na shivam prakashayet ghatena kim bhati sahasra didhiti vivechaya nittham udara darsana swayam prakasham shiva ma vishet chanat. What the means, the instruments for knowledge can do, na shivam prakashayet. They cannot reveal Shiva, the truth, the absolute. Ghatena kim bhati sahasra didhiti. Do you use a pitcher to see the sunlight? It is the sunlight that reveals the pitcher. When we reflect within ourselves, this self-illuminating factor of what constitutes us, the foundational us, the basis upon which we carve and shape and unfold realities, the truth reveals itself. Vidya havai brahmana majagama gopahi mam shevadhistehamasmi. The wisdom comes down to the conduits, the brahmanas. I'm supposed to speak on the agamic tradition. Sometimes we have consciously ignored, rejected the wealth we have. You know, sometimes if you do not know all the diamonds and the gems that you are wearing, and someone told, these are just fake glasses and this is all you have as your wealth that you inherited, you have nothing else, and you are wearing all the gems, and in the street you could be begging for some food. We have ignored these 92 agamas, and from yoga we have now discovered yoga. And then when we have yoga, we start doing it because, you know, yoga alone cannot satisfy us. This needs to be branded. Somebody else has to verify it. Again, self-ascertainment, we should not think as a pure philosophical concept. Self-ascertainment is not a arrogance, is not narcissism. Self-ascertainment is just simply accepting who you are. That you depend, rest on this unbound light, unbound truth. What constitutes agamas? Guru Shishya Pade Sthitva Swayam Devaha Sadashiva Purvottara Padair Vakyais Tantram Samavatarayat. The unfolding of the Absolute, the rupture of the Absolute in coursing through our paths, coming down to us like rain showering us. Why is that not raining on our heart? Individuation, self-differentiation. The core of delusion is ahanta. The end of delusion is also ahanta. There is a big difference between the delusion ahanta and the foundation ahanta. The delusional ahanta binds us within the body and the mind, and we are always seeking. What do? I write my papers, I write my academic articles and books, and I research, I collect data. That is information. That is not the revelation of the truth that is constantly knocking our door, begging us to allow her unconditional embrace. And how does that occur? The revelation of the agamas. All the agamas are dialogical. I have written on the dialogical nature of agamas in academic publications. What is this primordial dialogue? Shiva uvacha, Devi uvacha, Bhairava uvacha. What is this uvacha? Number one, if you know Sanskrit, you know the lit is, first of all, there is this paroksha, that your direct sensory faculties are not working. You have no temporal exactness in this paroksha. You have no sensory directness in this paroksha, but there is a direct experience at the same time. It's a different sort of experience in which our time-boundedness and space-boundedness is dissolved. Agamas reveal themselves at the dialogical moment of prakasha and vimarsha. If prakasha is the pure illuminating factor of consciousness, vimarsha is the reflection or reflexive power that confirms consciousness as it is. Bhairavi says, you are Shiva, and Shiva recognizes. The first pratyavijnana, the recognition occurs, is the recognition of a Shiva himself recognizing as Shiva. And this world, in the collective sense, is the very process of Shiva recognizing himself as Shiva and Shakti recognizing herself as Shakti. The world is a dialogue. We are the dialogue. Our thinking forms in the dialogue. Our thoughts embrace this primordial dialogue. That's why the agamas reveal in the prakasha and vimarsha paduka, the guru paduka in the rakta and shukla, the red that represents the mother, the vimarsha, and the white that represents Shiva, prakasha. In absence of the dialogue between Shiva and Shakti, there won't be consciousness. Abhinava Gupta says, Asthasyad eka rupena vapushachen Maheshwara, Maheshwaratam samvittam tad atyakshat ghatadivat. Where Lord Shiva to be static, changeless, motionless, constant, what kind of Maheshwara would that be? That would be like a pot sitting there doing nothing. That would lack its agency, its freedom. When we are talking about the rishis, we need to think one more step to get to these agamas, and that will be in the continuity of what my dear friend has just presented to us. Even for these rishis, tapas, if you know, they had to sacrifice a lot. If you know the story of Vishwamitra and always kamas and all these things coming very common, and of course our fantasies of rishis as the absolute person, my dear friend has already dismantled that. Don't expect much. But he has also outlined what to expect there. In this agamic revelation, what is constant between the rishis, whether they are discovering the Vedic speech or the Tantric speech, is the mantra. If you take off the mantra, there is neither Veda nor Agama. If you take up the power that speech has, if you take up the power that constitutes the external world that ruptures in the form of Shabda, then there is no Rishi Parampara, there is no Tantra, there is no Agama. Anadi Nidhanam Brahma, Shabda Tattam Yadaksharam Vivarta Tirtha Bhavena Prakriya Jagato Yata. This absolute, the Brahman, erupts, splits as if, or reveals, expresses itself, Sphutir Vikasi. And then it transforms into the myriad of forms of the objects that ensues the world order, the cosmic process. What is the foundation of this cosmic process? Is this spontaneity, swatantra. Swatantra shakti krama samsisiksha kramatmata cheti vivor vibhuti tadeva devi trayamantarastam anuttaram me pratayet swarupam. Abhinava Gupta says again that this primordial spontaneity, swatantra shakti, yachaisha pratibha tat padartha krama rushita akramananta chidrupa pramata sa maheshwara. This spontaneity that unfolds in the form of pratibha is what makes it possible for the absolute to reveal within us. What is the condition? What is the condition for the rishi? What have we lost? That makes us to tremble to embrace our cultural inheritance of this glorious Rishi Parampara. Is this individuation, is this individuality? I have sometimes told my students that sometimes I speak and other times I'm just a flute and somebody else is playing me. And if you have composed poems, then most of you would know. I do not know how mathematical thinking works in this rupture of spontaneity, but in poetic expression, it does come today for every single poet that he is not capturing as a horse training the words. The words flow through him. When the words trust you, they do not come wrong way. It's like when mother loves you, she will not drop you off. You have to trust the speech like a baby trusts his mother and let her unfold. The agamic compositions are also revealed by some of us, the humans. We always say this is Lord Shiva Uvacha and Shakti Uvacha, Bhairavi Uvacha, and then many of us have been claiming, no, the God said, and then after this Rishi composed. And that is a linear construction in which we are thinking that Lord Shiva was 10,000 years old, or maybe, no, that 10,000 doesn't sound good. Let's make it 10 million years old. Meaning, if we push that absolute far in time, then that would be so true. But that dialogue of Shiva and Shakti has not stopped. If Shiva and Shakti stop talking, who are you to talk to each other? Have you ever expressed anything in love to your partners or to those who you love? Do you always have calculated words? Then you are much in like California relation. You just speak. Why do you speak? Because it's an expression. There is no agenda. Sometimes we just gather. We just meet our friends in like tea places. We have no agenda. Shiva and Shakti have no agenda. But then why is the agamas being revealed? Abhinava Gupta again says this is that in this primordial dialogue something has been lost, that we have allowed the shrouds, the covering within us, separated ourselves from listening to this intrinsic dialogue in the form of Pashyanti. Again, if you read Bhartrihari, beautiful expression in the Vritti, in the Brahmakanda itself, of this, as if revealing out, but still encased inside, it has this ahanta and idanta. It has this fusion of this and fusion of I am. Idam ityasya vichinna vimarsasya prakashata yasvaswarupe vishranti vimarsha sohamityayam, Utpaladeva writes. Our consciousness is vichinna, disintegrated due to idam, this in information. After 30 years of teaching, I have come to the realization that I have informed my students enough. And I do not know if I will be able to transform anybody, but this Vimarsha that I'm trying is for transformation. Information does not transform us. We are seeking rishis, reading Rig Vedas and all the fanciful text names. We give references, write footnotes, and go for the most authentic publications. We are covering that in again the shroud of information, blocking its possibility to knock the door that is blocking us to see the sunlight, and we are asking someone, can you pass the mirror so I could see the sunlight? Open the door, who is stopping you? But no, we don't want to, because there are all these conditions like a dīkṣā, mortifying, oh my gosh, what if I will turn into a slave? From the Tantric perspective as well as the Vedic perspective, Google should not be the guru. And this dīkṣā, dana and kṣapana, there are two types of limitations we have. One is the pausna ajnana that binds our ego to this limitation, that allows us to enjoy being small, being separated. And this being small and being separated has its own fun. Otherwise, who would go to the bar to drink after such an amazing conversation? Because that allows us to limit ourselves further. The smaller we get, the more enjoyment we have expressed in this body. A human cannot be smaller than his body. That is why the modern philosophy cannot be any more smaller, because it has reduced humanity into mere mechanical reality. When I think of myself, when I want to be complete, and if my completeness comes in how I can appear best looking to you. When I see my perfection in the perfection of my body, I cannot be further smaller than that. And if my consciousness, I allow this to dissolve from my deha ahanta, this bodily I amness, bodily ego, allow myself to puryastaka ahanta, the I-ness that delimits my mind and my intellect. The speech does not stop there. Nasosti pratyayo loke yah shabdanugamadrite anuviddhamiva jnanam sarvam shabdena vasate. Rishi Bhartrihari has already said that there is no consciousness in absence of speech. Bhag eva vishwa bhuvanani jagye. When some people come, Guruji, can you teach me something? And I say some random words and keep repeating 10 million times, and then they get tired and run away. Such a beautiful relief. But the idea is, as long as we are not willing to purify our speech, the main tapas, heat, is the tapas of speech. Because this speech does not stop even when we are dreaming. Speech is constituting the dreams. Even when we are unconscious, the speech has not ceased to be, for it still reveals this lack of concepts, the darkness, the bliss. And that is the speech that unfolds tomorrow. Had that ceased to be, there's a beautiful conversation between the Sautrantika, the momentariness guys, and we ask that, okay, absolute momentariness, let's say for the sake of the truth that that is real. When a yogi goes to the absolute earth state of samadhi, there is nothing left, no ego left, no personality left. Who is that who comes back? You know what I'm talking about? If there is no person to continue, then the yogi, once enters into great samadhi, shouldn't wake up. That's just logically ridiculous. So let your logic continue. If somebody says logic is harmful, do not ask all the arguments to me because I'm a guru. Run away. That is not the Rishi Parampara. as long as you are preserving the tradition of dialogue, you are preserving the Rishi Parampara. What is Agama? Agama is a dialogical rupture of love. Agama is the expression and experience of love. In this dialogue, the mantras, every word in which all the swaras are Shiva, all the vyanjanas are Shakti, and always you have the swara and vyanjana, the fusion of the phonemes, the swara phonemes, the vowels and the consonants constituting mantra. All that boils down not just to word and its reference. Because, Guruji, can you explain this to me? What is the meaning of this mantra? Okay, this mantra simply means there are cows grazing in the field. And why do you find that ridiculous? No, you are looking for some exotic meaning out of it. No, the ka and u and all that. Why does the truth have to be referential? Let's pause here to think what I'm talking about. What we are saying is that all the truth has to be representational. Because if the mantras were to reveal the truth, and if the mantras have to have some reference, it means that mantras are representing the truth, mantras are not the truth. The word cow represents an animal cow, therefore you cannot squeeze the order of the word. When you say fire, your tongue does not burn. So if the mantras are to be understood like the common sense word, we are not recognizing the immeasurable power the matrikas have. Jnanadhishthānam matrika. Even this morning I expressed a little bit along those lines that how these matrika, mati, tarati, kayati, mati delimits. All these concepts are the very limited, fragmented expression of that same absolute. But again, these very matrikas allow tarati to transcend, to surpass, to overflow the delimited horizon. To recognize the agamic revelation, go to the tribal communities with respect. See how their mediumship works. They are still allowing themselves to cross beyond their individual ego, and for that time letting whatever that to seize themselves to be the vessel, to be the medium for the time being. Am I saying that is the Rishi? Or Rishi is highly refined by training and by speech. And therefore I'm not comparing, but I'm comparing in one regard that both these persons are allowing something higher to take over their individuality. And in that, we are willing to go beyond this pomsna ajnana, what we call the delimited ego, and which it is traditionally believed that wipes our individuation upon dīkṣā, and even if someone has no recollection, no realization in the lifetime that I am liberated, what it is said in śāstras is that if one has received initiation, he has received removed the pausana ajnana, the delimitation within the core of individuation, and after death, he will or she will actualize Shivata. But why is that not recognized right now in the body while living? For that we need Jivan Muktata, liberated while living. The prayojana, the purpose of Shastras is for Jivan Mukti, to recognize. So we have been reading Shastras for all the wrong purposes. And we have blamed the Shastras as the burden, that these Shastras are the burden. If you dump the Shastras, you will be realized. Good for you. Because this is coming, where is it coming from? This is coming from the blindness that we are imposed, and we are told that we have to never question these things, and then the convictions, and then that you need to get rid of. But the Shastras are the expression of freedom. And Shastras, Tarko yogangatte samanepi tarko yoganga muttamam Abhinava Gupta says, even though all the limbs of the yoga are equal, but Tarka is the highest form of all the limbs of yoga. It is a Sattarka, Anukula Tarka, appropriate reasoning. There's some a garbage reasoning like Vada, Jalpa, Vedānta, without proposing any thesis, or just for the sake of refutation of, not a clear inquisitiveness, but a correct, clear inquisitiveness needs to be there. I tell anybody who comes to my way that do not let your questions die. Sometimes I tremble when someone asks question, what if the person is satisfied? I have killed that possibility for that person to be realized. Answer is not an answer. Answer is just a station for you to continue discovering and refining the speech. Because the final answer is what you are. And the life, therefore, is a process, not about getting it. We want to determine and terminate because we are burdened. How much to work? It's a job. I'm also getting tired there. If I had the money, I would just take a retirement. This self-realization is also like that. Many people, I have been seeking for 30 years. Buddha got retired in 6 or 7 years. Now I have realized, don't make it like that. The real inquisitiveness is all that is there in realization, and that has to be the defining mode of who you are, because your true nature is the very questioning the mother has placed in you in the Vimarsha, in reflection. And if she stops asking, Shiva stops revealing in every mode. When I have this moment of aha, nava, this is a sort of newness. That same truth is discovered. It is not that the rishis were knowing every time a different truth, but the same truth is revealed to Vishwamitra or Vasishtha or Bharadwaja or Maudgalya or all whatever the rishis we name of. But a rishi is not a finite project. Agamas are not finite. Mantras are not finite. The speech is not finite. The revelation of the Absolute is not finite. And we are this process of the infinite that started without any temporal fixation till any temporal fixation. We are the expression of this eternity, Shiva. That is not time bound, it's Mahakala. And in this speech, when we surrender to ourselves, when we let go of our individuation, Jatharvi, Tathavi, Jatha Imanati, Tatha Nishedho, Yamana Viveo, Ya Paripanda Matha Sattanam, Gorakshanath, Maheshwarananda. Yatra ruchis tatra vidhi. Yatra ima nasti tatra nishedha. Iti asmakam vivekaha hridaya parispanda matra shastranam. Where you have the urges, the desires, your inquisitiveness, that is where the injunctions apply. I say don't drink, and the first thing is that's what you do. Your ruchi nam vaichitriyadam. So, when you are aligned to this absolute, your ruchi will be to continuously be that light of revelation. You will not have a ruchi unfolding in all the undesirable forms. What is nishedha, prohibition? Don't do this, don't go there. Jatta imanati. You need to align yourself to this foundational consciousness, that Shiva, that is constantly revealing to yourself and knocking the door within you. And then when that says don't do it, you do not do it. Once you align your consciousness to that foundation, your desire is the desire through which Shiva reveals itself. Your speech is the expression of the mantras. What is śāstras then? Hridaya parispanda matra śāstradam. It is the pulsation of the heart, the hridaya. Hridhi ayaha jnanam. Abhinava Gupta gives like 16 different interpretations for hridaya, but foundationally it is the Ishvara sarvūtānam hriddeshe arjuna tishtati. This is the foundation of consciousness in which the God, the Ishvara, resides. The primordial expression of the absolute. That is the heart. What is mantra then? If that is what the śāstras are, of your own pulsation, but not your pulsation as an individual bound with ego, but your pulsation when you release yourself from this bodily delimited being, then the words, your expressions, are the mantras. This Madana Mayi, Riya Avihaye, Riya Sankoye, Bha Ammitana Mayi, Kavali Avi, Savyappa, Anubhuyi, Kavi, Mantasaddatho, Gen Gorakshanatha, Maheshwarananda. Mananamayi Nijabhivave, when it expresses itself, it reveals in the form of reflection. Nija sankoche, when you have itself in the delimited form, when you find yourself in the finite form, bhaya ammitana mayi, it protects you from all fears. For how does it do that? Kavalita vishwavikalpa, it envelops, it swallows all the manifestations of consciousness. Every single mode of conceptualization is encapsulated by the mantras. What is this then? Pure experience. It is not the experience of fire or the understanding of the world. It is the anubhuti, pure consciousness that erupts when we experience something. Aha! That ah! Abhinava Gupta goes a little ecstatic in the siddhkara, in the ah of this orgasm, and that is a horrible thing, by the way, to ever talk, that is obscene. We are so Victorian, by the way, we are so colonized that all our modes of expression has been the expressions of the colonizers. Sometimes take time to go to Khajuraho, I beg you. That will help you understand Indian culture a little bit. We were not hypocritical about kama. Otherwise, we would have never embraced Vatsayana as a rishi. But again, that is not what you are thinking, though. Because then, oh my gosh, then that is Tantra too. Then that's the same thing. I'm going to have some Tantra reading now. I'm sorry. This expression of aha or siddhkara, the whispers, Abhinavagupta is using as a metaphor for us to recognize the bliss as it erupts, because anandam brahmano rupam tatsa dehe pratishthitam, the form of Brahman is bliss, and that is found in our body. Why do you have to negate all the forms of bliss or joy that you experience while in the body in order to recognize the bliss out there? Again, as I said earlier, you have a little bit of joy in your life, and you want to throw all of that thinking that the real bliss is something else. To recognize the real bliss, recognize these instances of bliss as the metaphor. Not recognize that this very thing as the absolute though. Brahmanande Vishayananda Prakaranam, if you have even read Panchadasi, you would know Vidyāranya Swami from the Advaita perspective has also recognized the Vishaya Ananda. Fortunately, he did study Tantra Shastra very well. I do not want to continue this conversation because I am not going to stop having the conversation within me, neither will you. As you have been conversing within yourself before we met, and will continue to have the conversation within yourself even after you and I stop talking. But for the moment that you allow this fusion between me and you, me as the speaker and you as the listener, we have been in this samarasa, the equal flow, the mingling moment. What is that? That is pure consciousness manifesting among us. That is the manifestation of Shiva. And this has been an agama. We have revealed agama today. Thank you so much.
I will give a few seconds of silence for us to take in everything that Sthaneshwar ji just spoke to us. Dhanyavad Sthaneshwar ji, that was such a beautiful and charged lecture. If anybody has any questions, we can take them now. Any questions? Ji. Mike.
Maybe can I take from this one?
Yeah.
Om Sthaneshwar ji. It's a new dimension that I am coming across, and I just want to see where spirituality and Tantra, they come together and gives us an impetus to go further and faster in spirituality. Here, my question is this the Vedic period is earlier or the Agamic period is earlier? Could you please throw light on that? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I have received those questions and I have answered in two different ways, to be very honest here. One, I would say the Vedas are of course earlier, and that comes from a very Western way of recognizing reality, that we need to have the artifacts that are historically finite, and then when we go to the text and the analysis of the language, then of course the Vedas are earlier. And there are some others, the Westerners, who like to say tantras are earlier most likely because they find the indigenous, like Indus Valley seals or Afghanistan seals. And that comes, by the way, from a very different agenda. The agenda is very simple. That there is the Vedic people, the Aryans, and the tantras are from some other people, different civilization altogether. I do not buy it. Neither this can be supported from any of the Vedic or the Agamic texts. Where do we find this division? Is in later smritis of the coding of the rules. You cannot drink, you can't eat. But not even early smritis. Mīmāṁsā bhakṣane dosho namadde naca maithune pravritti resha bhutanam nivrittistu mahaphala. Even Manu doesn't see a problem in eating and drinking. And all the tantrics are blamed, but even the smriti composers do not find that as the breaking point. So we have to think that maybe this type of looking into artifacts will not get to the point. Then what is the point then? What do I personally believe in? That just I said in the beginning, truth is not temporal. And what is revealed in the Vedas and what is revealed in the Tantras are the expressions of the truth. They are not temporal. And they may have been recognized by some historical beings whenever we can date, but what they discovered was not a temporal entity. Somebody named this is hydrogen and that is oxygen, and somebody said you have two of the hydrogen atoms for one oxygen to make water. He did not make water. Water has been there, oxygen and hydrogen have been there all the time. He just made a language to describe the blueprint, the basic chemical structure. So therefore, these mantric structures are the truth, and we have to go outside of temporal thinking. For me, I have resisted writing things in temporal structure, and I'm sorry, sir, this is a very difficult way to present anything in the Western academia when I like to reject the first category, that it has to order in history. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I have a question, sir. Tantra was practiced in 3 regions of India. One was Kashmir, Bengal, and Kerala. It is very heartbreaking to know that why all these, we are losing these lands. A much very low inferior culture is trying to overtake them.
Again, people from Kashmir, where is my call friend there, like to proudly say Tantra is Kashmiri. Maybe you don't say that. I have some Bengali friends. Hey, any Bengali friend here? Come on. And they say Tantra is Bengali originally. Fortunately, I don't think I have some Nepalese around here. They will be so mad because they know better. Tantra is Nepalese. But what is the fact? All the tantras were never encoded in totality. I have been to some Nepalese villages. I don't have the fortune of going into indigenous villages in India as much. And I have seen the ways these shamans express. Some of my Kula Devata, I hope you guys know what the concept of Kula Devata is. The priests for the Kula Devata are Brahmins. But these priests, when they are possessed, worshipping Kula Devata, the mantras they express are not in Sanskrit, not in some kind of fusion, and something happens at the moment. There are thousands of local deities, I can name it to you, that have not been encoded even today, and tribal people have been worshipping these local deities. That all is Tantra. Some have been encoded and found in the agamas, some others have not been encoded. We should preserve that. Tantra is the foundational basis for Bharatavarsha. It is not just the Vedas. And I do not separate them, by the way, because this was the way the rishis revealed them when they said mantras, and mantras are continuously being revealed. When I was 12, personally speaking, I had one physical problem, a repeated problem. I was leaving home, going far away for gurukula studies, but that problem was the most threatening, not the money, not the food, not anything, but that particular problem. I went to the village healer who used to heal me within 10 minutes. And I begged him if he could do something like permanently remove or something. And what he did, he gave me the mantra. Just take this mantra, and when the symptoms begin, repeat it. After a month and a half or 2 months in Kathmandu, I started having that symptom, acute pain in my navel area. And it's almost like a binding, jumbling of my entrails, twisting around from inside. And my belief, you can say, I don't care how we say, I healed myself within like 5 minutes. And next time when the symptom began, I just healed myself in 1 minute. And that was it. I never had to have that experience ever again. But the point I'm trying to make is, if you want to see how sophisticated that is, there is no sophistication, there is no proper language, there is no Sanskrit. You know, it's a bunch of really strange looking. When I try to intellectualize, I myself would question, I mean, come on, does this, I mean, really do I believe in this? But when it works, efficacy, yeah. I can't speak out though, that would be violation, you know. But it's as if our logical structure ceases to work at that level. There is something beyond our inquisitive logical brain in the revelation of the matrikas. And that is what I was trying to convey in the mantra parampara. Thank you.
We are losing all these three lands, like Kashmir, Kerala, and Bengal, in spite of being very tantric. What is
This I have to, and then I'll get to you, sir. We are not losing, I'm sorry to differ, because you are here and I'm here. And we are ready to fight for it till the end. So, yesterday we were losing.
Is there any answer for that tantric action?
No, the very action is our willingness to learn and our willingness to conserve it and go to the agamas, not like random tantrics that whatever we get. Read the agamas, read the philosophy, practice it, do purascharana, become a rishi. That is it. That is the answer. I'm not trying to be like smart here. I do it. I have not some perfection siddhis, but I don't care. And I teach without any condition, without expecting anything. I teach. Because after 30 years of teaching in university, what I meant by standing there, I do mean it. That I have just thrown information. I have to do something better than that. And transformation has to occur. And we have to conserve it. These things have been exoticized to the extreme that go. There is like tantric massage parlors everywhere in San Diego. And this is tantric yoga, meaning what tantric sex classes for you. And you know, the best reaction we can do is, what are you going to do about it? We have to fight for it. No, sir, we have to practice. What is the best fight? The best fight is to keep it alive. Going and you cannot cover the world with the leather. Wear shoes. That's more logical thing to do.